What's up, Moxie? HomeWOD day number 59 going down today. We have two pieces. The first one, our metabolic conditioning for the day, is called Indomitable. It's going to be a descending rep scheme of hang dumbbell snatches and an ascending rep scheme of burpees over a high PVC. And then in addition to that, we have some accessory work for some single leg squatting and some horizontal pressing. Okay, let's talk about Indomitable first, all right? So as I said, descending reps of hang snatches. It's 42, 30, and 18 reps of hang dumbbell snatches. Now, when we're not going from the ground with a hang dumbbell snatch, we're gonna find that this movement really resembles a kettlebell swing in a lot of respects. It's gonna be largely hip driven. There might be a little bit of grip fatigue just from hanging onto the dumbbell for a while, but that's really about the extent of the fatigue we're going to experience. There will be a little bit of lung fatigue, but much less than when we take that dumbbell from the ground. Now, the other movement we have today, the burpees over that high PVC. This is really going to be our at-home sub, if you will, for our burpee over box. All right. So for the height of our PVC today, if we're going to consider ourselves to be an RX athlete, then we're going to shoot for 24-inch height or thereabouts for guys, 20 inches or thereabouts for the women. All right. Obviously, we can kind of modify down from that based on what our comfort level is, but regardless, we want to keep this height relatively challenging. It shouldn't be just a small, like 3 to 6 inch hop over, some object. We do want this to be something we have to at least think about a little bit before we go into each rep. Now we are going to be facing the PVC today, so these are going to be lateral jumps over. We're going to treat it just like we would a burpee over box, or a burpee box jump over, right? Now, a couple of ideas to think about just in the context of this workout. Number one, this is a 15-minute time cap. That is an aggressive time cap for this number of particularly the burpees over PVC. So we do need to be aware that this time cap is aggressive. Second, the hang snatches are kind of our recovery, if you will, from those burpees over PVC. So whenever we approach these, it should be with that in mind. We're not going to win the workout here. So let's get through our sets with 1, 2, maybe 3 breaks on some of those higher rep sets, but never more than that, and those breaks should be short. This movement isn't going to spike our heart rate, so let's stay moving consistently. Number 3, the burpees over PVC will punish you if you go out too hot. It's easy, maybe on that first round of 9, you're feeling fresh, you've only done a few hang snatches, to really go hard and crank through those burpees so that you can get back to the dumbbell. But what we're going to find is that most likely, as you get more fatigued over the course of this workout, you're not going to be able to hold that aggressive pace. And then it becomes really easy for us to hit a jump over PVC and then take 5 or 10 seconds to reset ourselves before we go into another rep. Instead of doing that, let's try to find a consistent rhythm that we know we can hold for the duration of the workout and set that as our pace on that round of 9, so that first round. What that might look like for you, it might be different from me, but one example could be I just jump down, hit the bottom of my burpees, chest on the ground, I jump up, and then go right into my jump over PVC, and then take a relaxed turnaround, right? But to set up for my next rep. So my transition time, my rest, is built in that turnaround to set up for my next burpee. We might find that we want to step out of our burpee. We might find that we step out of our burpee and then take 2 steps closer to the PVC before we go into that jump. It doesn't matter what the rhythm is for you, but find a sustainable pace that you can replicate every single rep so that you know what pace you can hold on that round of 9, and then hopefully will hold that same pace on the round of 21. Now, one idea that we can think about on our burpees as well, something that can help us maybe mitigate some of the fatigue that we'll feel during this, is whenever we hop down to the bottom of our push-up, it can be really easy for us just to keep our shoulders relaxed because we're not really doing a legitimately strict push-up, so we don't need a lot of tension in our shoulders. But as we get fatigued, sometimes we'll slow down on that press out of the bottom. If instead, whenever our hands hit the ground, if we try to rotate the pits of our elbows forward, right? So this would be how we get into a strong top of our push-up position, that high plank, and how we keep tension in our shoulders whenever we go through a push-up. If we do that same thing on the burpees, it's going to give us a lot more springiness, if you will, in our shoulder and allow us to get out of the bottom of the burpee just a little bit faster. And that's going to keep us fresher longer. So a few things to think about there for that workout. Again, 15-minute time cap, just go hard, do the best you can. Now once we get done with that, if you've got a little bit of extra energy, our accessory work for the day is 11, 9, 7, and 5 reps of deficit step back lunges on each leg and single arm dumbbell floor press. Right here, we're working on that single leg squatting mechanic again. Now with this deficit lunge, we are going to find that that front leg is doing a little bit more work than it generally does, and it's going to tax our hip flexor range of motion on that back leg a little bit more than usual. All right, so the two things that we want to think about doing here, number one, on that front leg, whichever leg is planted on top of our platform. We can use a 45-pound plate. If we have that available, we can stack up a couple of books, what have you. Whichever leg is planted on that platform, you want that whole foot to stay in contact with the ground. So we shouldn't be rocking to the side, caving to the inside. Either way, that whole foot should stay in contact with the ground throughout that entire movement. That's going to really help us groove some of our two-leg squatting mechanics, where we want that same sort of foot position to be happening. All right. The second thing that we do want to be thinking about is trying to keep our abs engaged. It might be easy for us whenever we step back to kind of go into a broken, overextended position, but we want to try to keep our abs tucked down just a little bit throughout that entire range of motion. All right. Now, as a note, we're going to do all 11 on one side before we swap 11 to the other. This is just going to increase the difficulty on that leg that's on top of the box by a little bit. The other movement, the single arm dumbbell floor press. Right here, we're really trying to attack the tricep a little bit. We've done a lot of push-ups. We have more push-ups coming up later in the week, so we're going to get a lot of pec activation going on. But one of the areas where we might find that we're weak is that once we start getting fatigued, we can always get off the ground. We might find that our lockout gets really slow. The floor press is going to allow us to really target that. And to hopefully help us really target that a little bit more, let's make sure that we're keeping that elbow tucked in by our side. We shouldn't be flaring out during our floor press. This is going to activate more pec, which isn't inherently wrong, but we want to mimic most of the movements that we're actually going to be doing in this horizontal pressing plane. Burpees, push-ups, maybe ring dips if that's something that we play with, and in all of those our elbows are going to be tucked in, so let's train that on the floor press today. All right? A couple things to think about for that accessory work. I think that'll be a good time. We're going to take 90 seconds of rest after each one of those big sets, just to hopefully keep ourselves a little bit calmer. We're not looking for a conditioning response here. We're really trying to target mechanics and strength. All right? Enjoy this stuff, guys. Get after it, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.